Good afternoon, everyone. I welcome you all to this webinar. I welcome speaker Mr. Sandeep Das, and I congratulate organizers Professor Priyanka Puwar, Priyank Nashid, Mr. Raju, and Head of Department CP Dr. Bhagirath Prajapati. Cloud services is one of the emerging areas in current context. We have a webinar which is in line with this modern concept. I hope all of you would enjoy this particular talk and learn something useful. So I would not come in between speaker and you and wish success for this webinar. Thank you, and I wish all the success.
Okay. And by the way, this is Sandeep Das, and I'll be showing all that steps required to be a DevOps engineer in in modern era, and we'll be showing you how to start it DevOps with AWS. I'll be starting from the very beginning, and I'm going to cover all the basics, and I will let you know that how you can proceed further in your career according to this. Okay, so let me share the talk that I've created. And I'll be talking a lot about DevOps and all about what exactly DevOps is. So it's very basics one. If you can see here that what is DevOps, what is the benefit of DevOps, DevOps practices that's followed by everyone in the industry, and how to develop. I mean, how to do DevOps with AWS. I mean, I think everyone already know that AWS is the leading cloud service provider in all over the world, and it's doing tremendous job. It's giving huge support, all the 24/7 availability of all the services, and it's a big thing. Now I'll be showing what it's actually capable to do, but let us just first understand that what are the fundamentals of DevOps, what exactly DevOps is, because that's what's important. So let me just show you. So this is DevOps. Now, if you can see here that it is your if you're as a developer, or maybe could be just getting started with the application, or maybe just a simple hello world, just in case. Now there you have your small application ready. Now you can test in local, but if you want to serve, and if you want that your other users should be able to access it, or other anyone in the world access it, you need to host that application in somewhere. So that somewhere could be any server. Now AWS, you will get servers, you will get multiple ways to host that application. Normal ways are like EC2, or maybe like normal container-based systems. Now here, just say it could be anything, maybe just simple machine. Now there you have your application ready, and you have your application hosting now, and your customer as the end customers. Now they this could be for smaller application is okay, but when the application becomes big, when there is multiple developers, it's not just simply possible that you just simply push that thing, because there will be code merging, and I think if you are already playing with the codes, you will see that if you suppose 2 or 3% are working, there's a lot of conflicts happening time to time. And not just that, suppose a service, if you just without testing you push the service to a main production application, if it gets crashed, then it's a disaster. That is where it's coming, the DevOps. Now DevOps is what? It's cultural philosophies, its practices, its tool to integration, the organization ability to deliver application and services with high velocity. That means you can just simply you develop the application, you focus on your actually focus developing the application, and let the deployment happen automatically. That is the main goal of here. Now, what are the steps required for that? The first step is build, then test, then release. Then, and that is not the end. After you just release the application, that cannot be the end. You have to actually monitor that and plan for what could be the next thing, what could be the next improvement. The entire process is a DevOps process, and it's not just one process. It's like continuous process. It's every time you release a product, every time you release the changes, it has to be again reconsider what can be improved, and that what improvement need to be done, and then just improve it. This is the entire process. Now this is just an overview what DevOps is. DevOps is the now what that's a very interesting thing, that why the DevOps things came. Now The first dev is the developers and the oops are operations. Anyone is saying anything? Okay, no, I think. Okay, so here you can see that between dev are the developers and oops are the operations. Now DevOps is actually a bridge. So what happens? I mean, developers develop the application. They just develop application, and most of the places like there are engineers are there, mainly the operation engineers who actually deploy the application, and then they monitor it and do all the things. But there is always a communication gap, and there's something happen like usually what used to happen previously, that you just deploy the application in Fridays and then thought about nothing should be happening, and if something happen, your holidays get over and all. There's a lot of things like that. Now when the DevOps came, it's the test happening, is the build process happening, all are automatic. So you should not be worrying about something go wrong, because it's automation. I mean, it's always the same process it follows. Now there are some exceptions, but most of the cases, if it's following a simple procedure and if there is a less human interaction, it's like less error prone. So that's why it's much more giving you less headache, to be honest, and it's much more secure also. So we'll be discussing about that too. And if still anyone have any questions, you can just ask in the normal messaging, and you can just directly ask in the messaging, and I'll be checking and answering. Now let's go that why you should be using the DevOps. Now benefit of DevOps. Now why we talk about DevOps what it is. Now what are the benefits? Because that is what should be looking for, right? Now speed. That the more, suppose you develop the application, there are multiple developers. If you develop the application and you can just release the changes as fast as possible, that will make your the customer will get happy, because they are able to get the new features. And if suppose there is no the engineer can also test the changes, because I mean, they already changes, but they can see how it working in production. They can make improvement easily. That is the speed of development that you get if you use the DevOps architecture. I mean DevOps practices, if you follow that. Now what could be next? The rapid delivery. Yes, the rapid delivery. Just it's all features actually interrelated, but let's discuss about one by one. That rapid delivery is that since you are easily you are able to deploy the application, is very frequent. So there is a speed of the development, and the delivery is get more improve more and more, and that's what makes your delivery process much more faster. Here, one thing is to very important to understand that it's not about just simply or deploying the application rapidly. You are in before the delivery of when the delivery happening, you are doing automated testing. You are again then monitoring, and again according to the what you monitor and observe, you are making the changes and delivering again. That is how entire delivery happening. Now, what is important here is you can see the two terms: continuous integration and continuous delivery. I'll be talking about them a little bit later, but understand the terms that it's just as it means. Continuous integration, that means it's not never stopping. It's just continuous integration happening, and continuous delivery is again is same, just as sounds. It's that like it's a continuous delivery. Whenever the change happening, if it's ready, you're merging to master, and it should be automatically going to deploy as soon as as the build process done. But I'll be coming that later. So this is just the overview discussion, and I'll be discussing all the data. Now, okay. Okay, I will be coming to a question if I wish a little bit later. Now, reliability, ensure the quality application. Now, since there is, the delivery of the application happening very rapidly, and all monitoring going on, all the, everything is very faster. So you can get the feedback of the users also. I mean, the best feedback you can give them the normal customers. The more you get, the more you improve the product. So that's getting also faster because of this, everything getting all the changes this quickly that happening. Now, this is also very important to understand. I'm saying as it's all related, right? Now, the scale of the scale. Now, think of that normally what happen, you develop application, then you just deploy normally. That not just the error prone, that's also takes some time to deployment happening and all. If you think about that, why not doing the infrastructure as code? Now, what is infrastructure as code? Normally, you just suppose you have an application, You just develop the application, and then you just push the codes in Git. Then normally what happens that you're running a machine in AWS or somewhere else. There you just pull the code and then run the application. But again, there is a lot of software installation. You need to install the dependencies also every time if you do like in manual. You are doing suppose there's a problem. Sometimes what happens that if the environment is a bit different from your local machine, you get problems, right? It's very common one. Now, this is the issues that you normally face. Now, what is infrastructure as code? Infrastructure is nothing simple that you define all the resources required for the application as a code, all the requirements, and you mention what are the how should the configuration, how the application should be deployed, how the build process should be done. All everything you just mentioned as a code. Now in AWS, how can I achieve it? There is cloud formation and other tools are coming, but you can achieve that. And not only just think about the AWS, there are multiple open solution available like Terraform also. So that's what helping us to scale a bit. We are scaling. We can scale at like a second, as many resources you want to if you manage instances code. But not that there in AWS there is auto scaling features available for normal instances. There are multiple ways you can scale applications. So that is one of the greatest use case if you want to use the cloud. You can scale infinite level as much as you want, and that's what is important here. Now, improve collaboration. As I'm saying that DevOps is a cultural model. Ultimately, it's just developers and the operations. You are combining. It's now if you think that DevOps is a particular team member doing, no, it's a collaborative responsibility that engineer, whoever it is, could be the front end engineer, could be the back end engineer, could be the actual operation person. Is that combining? They're combined as a whole. Is working as a team. Now, here there will be shared multiple inputs, and that is fine. All the processes, all the services work together, and just like the team also, they have multiple variety of skills, and they'll be applying in the cloud part how the application should be deployed according to the defined workflow. Now, don't think that it's a very complex process. Now, it's a very simple one. If you think that ultimately what you're doing, you have application and you're just deploying the application. Developers develop the application and operations manage the application. Now it's a team that managing the entire process. That's how you should be looking at in an easy way. Now security. Now security is a very big thing. I think you're already hearing about the multiple hacks happening here and there. If you see that, if suppose you open a bucket publicly in AWS, or could be just simply if you very confidential information if you're in a public site, and that could be a disaster. Similarly, the code also, if you just if you really as a private repository by mistake you put it as a public repo, and it's a big disaster. You cannot make a public repo, private repo as a public, or maybe in a normal private repo, or maybe it's a public repo. If you just by mistake too, if you just release the production keys or very confidential keys, that's also become disaster. Now, with the DevOps if you follow the practices, the standard DevOps practices, if you maintain never store the important configuration keys in code and follow all the practices that is required, there are less security issues, to be honest. Now, AWS have multiple services which can do it. I'll be coming that a little bit later, but you can achieve it via AWS or any cloud provider. It's not about AWS, but you can achieve it. AWS giving us the tools which is actually required. We'll be talking about that here. Okay. Okay, so one question was there I want to answer before going to DevOps practices and all. Okay, just give me that. Are you saying that if DevOps is nothing but the automation of your deployment and maintenance, why is sort of a skill? Automation for deployment can be achieved after building the code by the developer itself, right? Please enlighten me. Now think about that. DevOps, it's the developer ultimately making the code ready. Operations normally what to do that they release the application, they have the permission level. Now we are not waiting for this to happen. We want to make the automation, right? So DevOps is nothing but there are automation is there. But think about that. It's not just the automation part. Here you need to understand that the all team collaboration is needed. Here you just need the code that need to be, the whole entire DevOps process actually need to be very specific, application specific. And there are multiple ways to achieve the DevOps goal, because there are open source services, there are managed services. You have to select, like you have to select between this, and there are now why even this is the most important part. Why there is so much demand of the DevOps engineers? Because one thing can be achieved by multiple ways. You can do by the open source way, you can do by the managed way. Now you have to make the decision. You need to have the skill required to do that. If you don't know how to do it, then you will not get able to do it, right? That's why it's most sort of the skills, because there are demand how to make this process the more automation we come into this, the more better it is, to be honest. That's why it's important. You have need to have the skills required to get these things done, to make sure that your integration pipeline working fine, the deployment happening fine, because ultimate goal is that ultimately whatever you're doing, the application changes need to be deployed faster and in a secure way. Plus, it should not affect your customers, I mean the ultimate application performance. And that's not a, even if it's look that easy, it's not even that also easy, to be honest. It's easy, but you have to think carefully before doing anything. That's why you first make sure that your application workflow is right, your integration workflow is right. Suppose it's a WebSocket application. If you just do all deployment at once, all systems go down, people start complaining because things are not working, right? You should be thinking about maybe one by one deployment. You can think about like a plugin deployment where all the instances will be running, I mean getting ready in a separate group, and when they're ready, let's just replace the existing group. Or maybe one by one, where just one instance happening, I mean one instance just done with the changes, then that again started. Then next instance gets stopped, then the changes get deployed there, then again one gets started. There are multiple ways to achieve a single thing. So you have to think about what is the best way, and that's not a simple single decision. It needs to be think very carefully and needs to be application specific. That's why. Okay. Okay, I'll be coming to next question a little bit later, but think about the what DevOps practices are. I mean, we are talking about DevOps, but what are the DevOps practices? Ultimately, whenever you see even any web article you see, they will not say DevOps is a thing. DevOps is the practices. It's entire team have to make sure they follow the practices. Now, what are those? Let's think about that. Continuous integration. Now, what is continuous integration? As a definition, continuous integration is software development practice where developers regularly merge their code changes into a central repository, after which automated build and tester run. The key goals of the continuous integration are to find address bug quicker, improve software quality, and reduce the time take to validate and release the new software changes. Now, here think about it. I mean, if you're a single developer, you don't have to worry. I mean, you are doing all the normal single deployment. But think about that. In normal organization, it's not about single developer, right? There are multiple developers, could be 2, 3, 4, could be any number of developers. And if they're making everyone making the changes at the same time, there are high chances that something not going right. Now, and if you wait for one developer to push the changes first into master repository, and then again the next one, it will take years to release a single product. Now, that's not everyone looking for, right? Here you have to think about how to automate things. Like if suppose someone push the changes, there should be a build process where you should be running the test that, okay, this person pushed the changes. After the push changes happened, or maybe the pull request created, there should be the number of tests that should be performed to make sure that it is working fine. If suppose something not fine, or maybe they're not following the best practices, could be any reason of that, you should throw error and say send automation mail to the engineer who pushed that and say fix that bug, fix to do these kind of things, and then push again, and then there will be review happening, and then the merge will happen. If the things look good, then it will get pushed to the run servers. That's how you can make things a lot faster, to be honest. Now, what is the continuous delivery? So after the continuous integration, the next thing should be continuous delivery. Continuous delivery is a software development practice that the code changes are automatically built, tested, and prepared for the release to production. It expands upon continuous integration for deploying all code changes to a testing environment and a production environment after the build stage. Then continuous delivery implemented properly. All developers will always have a deployment ready build artifact that have passed through a standard test process. So after the code actually get pushed, the code is ready, you need to deploy it, right? And that code, that deployment should be continuous automation deployment, which is continuous here. That is saying automatically, right? So here, suppose the code is pushed and and the test automatically done for the merge is done. After that, it will get the changes will get pushed to a maybe a centralized or it will make there are multiple ways. Okay, the very common one is where there will be endpoints where the integration ID or maybe the commit ID will get passed, and then that service will pull the code changes and will do the whatever is required to make the build ready, and that build will be get deployed to production. Now that should be automatic or manual, like after approval one that you can configure accordingly. Normally there should be a staging one. After the staging, the test looking fine, you can move to production one, but you can do directly to production. So if you have that level of confidence, that happens. Now next thing is very important. Microservice. I think everyone is hearing microservice. What is microservices? What it do? And It's just a buzzword, but it's very popular one also. Everyone is, I mean, every big company is using microservices. Now what microservices? Now let's just read the definition. The microservice architecture design approach to build a single application as a set of small services. Each service runs its own processes and communication with other services through a well-defined interface using a lightweight mechanism. Typically an HTTP based application programming interface. Microservices is built around business capabilities. Each service is scoped to a single purpose. You can use different framework or programming languages to write microservices, deploy them independently as a single service or a group of services. Now think about it. I mean, it's a very important part. Now I think everyone is hearing the microservice out here and there, and some get the idea, maybe some search about it, but many don't know exactly what microservices is. So microservice is nothing but that if you developing an application, make sure what should be like make it smaller to be very service specific, or you can see now these days are very function specific. Now what are things doing here? Suppose you are making a order kind of or maybe the cart changes. If you are managing a e-commerce site, you are doing the cart part where you are adding the product, removing the product. Just make the code defined to that, and it should be different from the other codes. Not a think about the monolithic application. What now to understand the microservices? Actually, first let me explain the monolithic. Monolithic is where you are running all your application codes in a single place, all your database in a single machine, or all your cache mechanism, everything in a single part. Now here, if you think about that, it's a build for failure. I mean, if you make in that way monolithic application, it's one way it will fail for sure. What to do? Think about microservices approach where you can make sure that application are very function specific or very use case specific, where it could be small to maintain and the changes will be very faster. Something not working, you can quickly make the change in a particular service, and that could be deployed also very fast, and it giving capability to make very rapid deployment also, because you don't have to worry about all the services running, or there will be no other services will get affected, right? Only the change you are making to the particular service that will get affected. That's why it will giving you more confidence to make the delivery quickly and then test it out. If it's working fine in production, after the normal test or staging test working, you can very quickly make the change and test it out. And there are multiple ways to achieve the microservices approach. How to do it with AWS, I'll be coming a little bit later. But understand the microservices is a design approach. You get to the build application. You are dividing the APIs, or you can say the main application into multiple parts, which is very function specific. That way you can achieve the higher deployment rates and less worry, to be honest. Okay. Now, okay. Now, I think we talked about the infrastructure as a code, like, I'm just reading the definition part. Infrastructure is a practice in which infrastructure is provisioned, managed in the code and software development technologies such as a version control and continuous integration. Now, I will not the entire thing because it's just as it says. I mean, you are managing all your application architecture, how it should be deployed, how it should be managed. It should be the termination also. Everything should be according to what if you write in the code. It should happen according to the code. The cloud formation is the one that's offered by the AWS, but there are multiple solutions. I'll be talking about that also. Okay. Now let's go to the next one. Monitoring and logging. See, if you go to very first one, the build, see the build, test and the release, then comes the plan, the monitor part. Now let's go back to again here. monitoring and logging. So it's not just about the releasing things, because after you release, you have to make sure what you have made changes, the servers, the application logs, you have to monitor those to understand everything working fine. Like CPU spiking and not happening. If there is a loophole in the code, there will be spiking happening in the memory, or it will be CPU spiking happening. You have to make sure and monitor and set the alerts according to that. So if something wrong happened, you should get notified, and as soon as you get notified, you take the next steps. Otherwise, something goes wrong, and if you don't get noticed, that's the disaster, right? So this is important here. And now next part is in DevOps practices part. The last one, I think this is the last one. Yeah, the last one is the communication and collaboration. Now, as I'm saying that DevOps is the entire team where developers developing the application and ops like operations are operations jobs are like maintaining the application, monitoring application. Now it has to be happening the entire team, because this is everyone's responsibility. I'm saying from the beginning. Now this is the increased communication and collaboration in organization is one of the key cultural aspects of DevOps. The use of DevOps tool and automation of the software delivery process, establishing collaboration by physically bringing together the workflow and the responsibilities of the development and operations. Building on top of that these teams get strong cultural norms around the information sharing and facilities communication through the use of the chat application, issue of the project tracking system, and the wikis that help the speed of the communication across developers, operations, even other teams like marketing or sales, allowing the part of the organization align more closely on the goal and the projects. As I'm saying, it's just the collaboration part. It's was improving, and the more you improve, the better. Everyone will get to know if something happens. So it will be better. Like marketing team can bring an issue that which developers don't know, or which developer need to be implemented. So that those things are required, to be honest. And the more you get this kind of feedbacks, the better application you'll be making. Okay. Now we talked about like what is DevOps. We talked about what are the DevOps the features. What are the DevOps practices? Now what about the DevOps with AWS? What is tools is offering to so we can work with DevOps? I mean we can get the goal of DevOps in with AWS. Now let's talk about that. We talked about all the topics. Right? We talked about continuation, integration, and continuous delivery. Now here's the important parts. What are the services that is falling under continuous integration and continuous delivery? Now we will be talking very detailed about what are this. So AWS code pipeline is now I want to show one thing. Like the very first thing is actually in the last, but it's okay. I'll just explain and come. We'll come to that one later. Okay. So AWS Code Pipeline is a continuous integration and continuous delivery services for fast and reliable application infrastructure updates. Code Pipeline builds, test, and deploy your code. Every time there is a code changes based on release process models defined. This enables you to rapidly deliver reliably deliver features and updates. Now, what I'm using Code Pipeline on a daily basis. Now, let me give you one very basic thing. It's removing the human interference much. So after you're done with the changes, could be GitHub, could be Bitbucket, could be anywhere, could be any Git application. There you just deploy the code. Now I mean there you just push the code, push to master. And if you have this CI/CD integration is already done with the AWS Code Pipeline, so once you push the code changes, it will come to Code Pipeline. Then it will make the test. It could be multiple stages. Okay, you can define it according to there. And after that, all that if suppose the test is false, then it will throw error and will get notified to the appropriate teams, and that will be the fixes. If the test call fine, then it could be the next stage, could be running some more like code linting and all. If that fails, it will notify the teams, concerned teams. If it's all good, then it goes to the maybe staging server, and suppose some developer will make sure that everything working, then the test team will check that everything working. Like there's still, I mean, even with all automation, there is a human touch needed sometimes. So that's why I'm saying it could be one of the requirement of that. So after that happens, you have the option like you can just do the deployment directly from the code pipeline. There's an option for that. But if you don't want that to be manual, that is fine. After the build is ready, you can just push the build. It will be stored in S3. What is S3? It's just like a key the object storage where you can store the files and anything, any artifacts there also, anything you can store in S3, and that thing will be get deployed suppose your application codes, just think about the application codes will get deployed to the particular target. It could be serverless application, it could be normal applications need to be deployed in EC2 instance. It could be anything, but it will get deployed. Okay. Now let's come to the AWS code build. Now AWS, what is AWS code build? AWS code is a fully managed build service that compiles the code source code, run tests, and produces software packages that are ready to deploy. With code build, you don't need provision, manage, scale your own build server. Code build scales continuously and processes multiple build concurrently, so your builds are not left waiting in a code. Now, let me give you a very basic problem we have with the builds. Normally, if we build in local machine, it install a lot of, like if you're a Node.js developer, or it could be any Python developer, or any developer, to be honest, you have requirements, right? I mean, you have npm modules that could be like that, like Python requirements. You have to actually install in the machine first, and then there is any further requirement needed. That also, and the build process sometimes could be very long. If you have a C application, to be honest, that's a very common use case. You have to make that to build big application take a lot more hard times. For that, if you think about it, you can automate that and you can get the build faster using code builds. You should give it a try. I mean, I have tried, like I'm giving a real use case where I have to make the final code build where it's taking a normal machine around 5-6 years, and using the code build, I think I achieved within 1 hour. I think that was a very big one, I know, but still a lot of time taking previously, and it's taking now very less time if I'm using the code build. And I don't have to manage the instances. Now normally, if you have, normally what happened that you have a machine ready and you have to keep paying for that machine even if you're not using it. Now in code builds, if you are using it, I mean, if you're actually building it, then you're paying. If you're not using it, you're not paying anything. That's saving the cost also. Now the code deploy. The code deploy is a very core part of this DevOps process in AWS. And what is about that? Because after, suppose your code build is ready using the code pipeline, or maybe whatever your code is ready, and that need to be deployed in multiple EC2 instances, or could be anywhere actually. It may be the ECS container, I mean ECS instances, or could be the normal that serverless applications. If you have if you configure it properly, you can do the deployment very easily. And not only just think about the AWS services. If you have your normal on-premise machine, you can actually do the deployment directly in machine also. So if you have 20 machine or 100 machine, if you're thinking about manually updating all the machine with all the changes, it's gonna take you months and months. I mean, think about the risk also you're having. If you miss something, it will be disaster. Something you change, you did, and that came into one machine and it didn't happen in another machine. It's a big problem. Now with the code deploy, this problem you're not gonna face, because after you implement, I mean after you set up the code deployment properly, it will, all the machines will get same version of the code to make sure that all machines are running the same codes, and it will make sure that no machine is left behind. And if there is suppose a machine a deployment failed for some machine, you will get to know from the in AWS deployment screen, code deployment screen, you will get the list of that. If it's a failure, if there is any, all the success, how much time it take to deployment happen, you will get all the information there. Okay, now AWS CodeStar, if you come to there, it's just about all these tools all together. In CodeStar, you have this code pipeline, code build, and code deploy all together. You are managing, and not just that, you can attach with Jira ticket if there is issue tracking you want to do, and all this kind of stuff you can do with the CodeStar. Now I'm explaining this, but since this is just a beginner intro, if you want to explore more, you should be exploring all the services by yourself to understand what it does. There are I will be sharing this. I mean, I think Priyank will share this document with everyone, so you can go and explore all the services, what it do and how to do it. Okay. Now let's come next. Now microservices. I mean, we had talked about the microservices a lot, right? In the previous time. Now in here, how to achieve the microservices goal here? You can achieve by if you now there's think about two part, containerization and the serverless thing. Now what is containerization? If you have application, and if you want to run in a 4 machine, and if you manually run inside 4 machine, and you manually install in every machine every time, all the dependencies. This is very time-taking process, isn't it? What intelligently thing you can do? You containerize the application. Container application using Docker. There you make sure that all the packages required for the container should happen. You mention everything. What are the ultimate the environment variables, what are the packages required, the application to be run properly. You just mention everything in a particular container. And there you mention that after the container, I mean, the application is ready in the container, that container should be able to run any environment or any machine. Now, what about it? I mean, what it's doing? Here is what it's doing is that since the dependency is already installed, since you know that this container is working running fine, and if the Docker image run in a particular machine, it should be running any machine accordingly. So it's the same way, because that's why the virtualization and the containerization is getting the popularity. You build once and run anywhere. That's you can do it. Okay. Now, here you can in for AWS giving us the ECS services, where ultimately you are uploading your image in an ECR repository, and that you are using in ECS. Now, if you don't think it was a very complicated process, it's in if you just go to AWS, like they have a very good training videos on that also. Simply think about, like, you have to make sure your Docker image is fine, and that will you have to create the configuration for the Docker image, and you will just run a task with that Docker image, or you can run services with the Docker image. Okay. And there is this AWS Lambda. Now, what is AWS Lambda? So I think everyone is hearing about the serverless here and there. Everyone just interested in what serverless is. Now, serverless is where you are not running any servers, but there are servers to be honest. It's not about no servers running, they're running. But when there is a requirement, the servers are running, and when the requirement is gone, it's shutting down the servers. That's what the serverless is. And here, AWS giving the AWS Lambda service, where you can run in the all your codes without managing the servers. And with the Lambda, suppose how it works. It could work as an event trigger, or maybe the HTTP event trigger. So you make a request to HTTP API, and after, suppose the response is given, the whatever the server running to run the function, it will get shut down because his work is done, right? So, but think about that, when to use containerization and when to use Lambda. If it's a very new application, there is a requirement that sometime the application need to be run, and there is not all the time need to be running. It's good for the serverless. That means use AWS Lambda. When there is a requirement that the application need to be done continuously, and it should not stop, and then the performance, I mean, the availability should be all the time. That kind of requirement, I think it's better to go for the ECS. Okay. Okay. Now I think we talked about the microservices. Now let's talk about the infrastructure as a code. Now AWS giving us AWS Cloud Formation. What is AWS Cloud Formation? Now it's their their way of managing everything automatically. There will be templates. In the templates, you will be saying that what are the resources need to be deployed, what application source code need to be deployed. According to that, the deployment happen using the CloudFormation. Now, I'll be let me see that if you can get it. Maybe after the end, I can show you a very basic CloudFormation template, what it's actually meaning, that you can explore. AWS Opworks. Now, AWS Opworks is a configuration management service using Shift. Suppose if you're using Shift in your existing application architecture, then you can leverage this one. And an automation platform that treats server configuration as code. Opsworks uses Shift to automate how the servers are configured, deployed, and managed across your EC2 instances or on-premise computer components. Opsworks has two offerings: AWS Opworks Safe Automation and AWS Opworks. Now, these two are Now, these two technologies are like, if you're actually using the Shift, then only required. Otherwise, there is no use, right? So it's actually very use case specific. Now, what is the next one? Now, this is a very interesting one, AWS System Manager. Now, the one tool we talked here, just I forgot to mention, the Code Deploy, and this tool, the AWS System Manager. This Amazon has an agent that needed to be okay. Okay, that need to be installed in your instances. There, if you think about that, this AWS manager agent will be running there, and you can manage. I mean, you can install all the patches. You can do the patches and updates using just the AWS system manager. Instead of you can just log in the console and do all kind of stuff. You can achieve via the AWS system manager. You can just, and you can do it very fleet-wise. Like if you have 20 instances, you can just give the code instructions, and that will happen accordingly. Now, what are the next tool here under the infrastructure code? That if you think AWS config. Now, AWS actually config works as a validation kind of tool, where suppose you can say, okay, these are the set of rules, and if the rules are not getting validated, you can just either using the AWS Lambda, you can just roll back, and you can all notify the main admins. You can do this kind of stuff. This is just read the definition here. So AWS config is a fully managed services that provides you with an AWS resource inventory, configuration history, and configuration change notifications to enable the security and governance. Config rules enable you to create rules that automatically check the configuration of AWS resources recorded by AWS config. That's what it's do. Now I'm just giving some overview. Then so you can know that what are the things available, and you can explore more on that. And I will take all the question at the end, so don't worry about that. Okay. Okay, now I think I talked about about monitoring and logging, but how to achieve in AWS? I mean, what are the tools available in AWS to monitor your applications? Now, very common one is AWS Cloud Watch. Now, by default, if you're running an instance, AWS Cloud Watch is there, and it will track all the things. It will not track the memory part. If you want to track the memory, you have to install AWS Cloud Watch, the client there in the machine, and custom configure it. Then you can even track more matrices, which is according to your requirements. You can track that. So what I do, Amazon CloudWatch is a monitoring service for AWS cloud resources, and the application you run on AWS, you can use AWS CloudWatch to collect and track matrices, collect and monitor log files, set alarms, automatically react to changes in your AWS resources. Now, very common use case. Suppose you have running multiple machines in AWS where you see a particular instance using more than 80% of CPU. But if you don't know which machine it is, then you cannot do anything about that, right? You cannot even go and check what it's doing. Now, if you're using CloudWatch, you can set and configure alarms, where suppose whenever the CPU is going above 80%, you can just rule like that, and it will notify you according to that. Not there are multiple things you can do with CloudWatch. I will highly suggest checking that. This is the very good way to track your infrastructure and applications also. Okay. Now AWS X-Ray. Now what it is? AWS X-Ray helps developer analyze and debug production distributed applications such as those built using microservices architecture. With X-Ray, you can understand how the application and the services perform to identify and troubleshoot the root cause of the application. So mostly all the error tracking you can achieve via the AWS X-Ray. Okay. AWS CloudTrail is a very important because like whatever application, suppose you have users who are using your AWS services. Normally IAM users, and they are using the AWS services. Now, suppose how to know that which particular IAM user utilizing which services, and how is that very they are doing something wrong with the services or not. You can track all these kind of things by the AWS CloudTrail. Is good for the governance part. So check it out. Okay. Okay. Now, platform as a service. I think if you are don't want to manage all the instances and do the things, you can do via you can just make the configuration ready and zip it and send to AWS Elastic Beanstalk according to their specification, and you can run the application. Now, what it support? .NET, PHP, Node.js, Ruby, Go, Docker. Like if you don't want to any application specific, you want to run the Docker, you can just customize the application Docker. You can run in the Elastic Beanstalk. Okay, I think what is it? The version control part, AWS code commit. Now, AWS like normal, there are normal Git application like GitHub. There are like GitLab. There are you can think of like Bitbucket. So these are the tools that like AWS. Those are the public repo also and the private combination. Similarly, AWS giving you the AWS Code Commit. AWS Code Commit is a fully managed source control service that makes it easy for companies to host secure and highly scalable private Git repos. You can use Code Commit to securely store anything from the source code to binaries, and it works seamlessly with your existing Git tools. Just saying it's normal Git application. So here the best thing is that all other services, all other AWS services are very tightly integrated with AWS Code Commit, so you can do automation and more in a very fluent way. And the code is since already in AWS, that data flow happening between the networks also inside from AWS. So that is also very interesting one. Okay, so these are the very basic tool services that are offering and happening in the AWS. Now, if anyone have any questions, just let me know. This is just an overview, just getting started. As I'm saying, it's not a very in-depth one. Just giving the intro that what is DevOps and what the DevOps can do, what are the tools available by AWS. Yeah, that's what I do. So let me know if you have any questions. In between, let me check. Let me see. Oh, there's a lot of questions. I think I'm done here. Look. Okay, so Priyank, are you there? Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
yeah. So yeah, so there are a lot of questions. So help me now that if you just summarize that.
Um,
It's a very good question. That what a company expect from a DevOps fresher engineer. Now, let me answer that one. You just Priyank, just check the all other messages because there's too many to handle. To be honest, just
yes, sir.
categorize that. I'll be answering that. So what a company expect from a DevOps fresher engineer. Now, as a fresher, you should at least know the CI/CD process, like how suppose a code from a source code to entire deployment. Just understand how it works, and maybe try with the simple application deployment, not the very complex one, like the very complex deployment methods. Just make sure that you know the simple methods at least. Know how the application how to define the DevOps process according to the application idea. Those are basic steps. If you know that, that would be enough. And I think the tooling purpose, I will say learn Jenkins to make sure the integration part, learn about all the famous Git repos. Understand that, that will be enough, I think. Okay. Okay.
I just sent question on chat.
You okay. You have okay.
On convert. Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay. Okay, I think I answered that. So let's go by one. I think okay. That's fine. That's fine. Okay. Okay, can you give? Okay, there is Subham saying that can you give scenarios to explain DevOps? Now, think about. I mean, it's not about the scenario specific. It's just that you have application, you need to deploy the application, and uh, and that need to be happen, and that can happen single process, like you just manually deploy the application, or you can just mention as a workflow, like a automation kind of way. You make sure that after the deployment happening, it should get automatically deploy the production servers without any problem and less human interaction. That is the best use case in the DevOps part. Okay. So it's Wagner is Kiran saying that I'm in operations technical support, expertise on Linux and application support. Do I need to have expertise on programming to become DevOps admin? No, it's not required. You have to know the programming and all. It's good to know if you can. That is good. If you don't know, that is also fine. Make sure that you know the interconcepts well. You know how whatever. See, it's very application specific. Your application have the requirement to know Git, then know the git. Your application has the requirement to understand the implement the CI/CD properly with the set of services that is actually the team used to know, or team understand better. There is a skilled people in the team using their services. It's default goes to that preference. So those are the skills required. It's not the programming, but yeah, Linux skills are very highly important, because ultimately you are deploying the application in Linux servers, so you already have Linux and application support. I think you already know Linux well. It's very good to you. Okay. Uh, I didn't know what actual job. Okay, it's Sadab saying that I didn't understand what the actual job of DevOps means. Actual role of it. Okay, so think about it. What DevOps engineer is doing? They're making sure that your application is is very easily get deployed. It's and it could be a complex application, but the deployment will be simpler. It makes sure that a deployment happen, but before there is a test cases need to be validated. The build process will be much more faster. The monitoring happen more frequently and more accurately. Suppose any error that need to be fixed as soon as possible, and make sure the customers are happy. Ultimately, this is a goal. So as a DevOps engineer, your goal is to make sure the application performance is top class and the deployment happen without any issue. And whatever requirement is there is to done to make sure the application deployment happen properly, do it. That's to be a straight answer. Okay. So if someone know DevOps approach, Docker container, system administrator, not chunking other tools, can he apply as junior? I think yeah. If you know the native tools, I mean, sorry, not native, I mean, the cloud provider tools very properly, then you don't have to. Ultimately, it's just the optional things. Like in the Jenkins, you are making the builds, doing the containerization. If you use the code build and other tools in AWS offering, you can use that, right? There is no need to learn about Jenkins if you already know this or well. Okay. Do microservices use more than one server as a no? See, it's microservices, right? Even one server, you can run multiple microservices. Like it's not about one microservices as per the requirement. Suppose in a particular service, there is a high workload, I mean high requirement for that particular service. So you need to be like one microservices running 10 copy of it to make sure that the load is balancing well. Okay, it's like that way. Yes, Sandeep, just Samit within. Sandeep just hopped on. Power cuts are bad here. Oh, I'm not sure. Sorry for that. But yeah, and this is a recording session. Priyank is doing a recording session. So you can just, get the recording session, and this document will be shared also publicly. So you can follow up, no problem. Okay. And let me see any other questions. Do you know what specific technologies below cloud formation? Do you know? Is Carlos saying, do you know what specific technology is below cloud formation? Now, cloud formation is just a think of it as a tool that you can. Let me see that if I can share the screen or not. Okay, let me see. I don't think I can. Don't know why, but I cannot share the screen. But bad thing. But
There's an
if you follow
option
the dog,
beside
So,
there's an option
is there
beside the
option?
mute key to share your screen.
I'm trying, but I don't see the permission there.
Uh,
It's saying,
you need to first stop this presentation. Like click stop presenting, then it should come up.
okay, let me try. Stop presenting. Just one moment. Stop presenting.
Now you can share
Okay.
it.
Okay. Oh, we need to give permission to share screen to screen recording. So see, okay, sorry, screen recording is running. That's why I'm not giving the option. So I think it's okay. Not a problem. Uh, I cannot share the screen. I would have shown according to that. No, but just to explain the thing that what CloudFormation is, it's just a tool provided by AWS, where AWS tools, I mean resources are very, they are giving a namespace for the each services, and you can use that. use that to make sure that all the resources getting deployed properly. If there is any problem in the deployment, you will get notified. You will see the progress of the deployment and the infrastructure deployment happening. So it's an infrastructure deployment tool. You can maintain infrastructure using that tool. Okay. 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 I'm sure either. Somebody is saying that I'm sure either it will be certified, but you can use okay, either YML or JSON file. Yeah. So somebody saying the right thing. You can use YML or JSON to configure the CloudFormation. Okay. Please recommend some courses to get started. Okay, it's Pooja saying that please recommend some courses to get started with AWS. I will say AWS's own training library is very well curated. You can go for that. Otherwise, in the YouTube channels, there are a lot of free courses available. You can go for that. More of like A Cloud Guru courses are there. The Next Academy courses. You can go any of that. If you see the more number of enrollment and the good reviews, you can go for that. Okay. So let's start with demo. Okay. I wanted to give demo, but I can't share this. Priyank, can you share the screen? Is the sharing working for you? Hello, Priyank.
Yes, sir.
So is the screen sharing working for you?
Yes, sir.
I don't know. It's not working for me some reason. Show it the real things.
It's in the same place where you share your presentation.
Yeah, but on some reason I'm not getting it. That's the problem. Just give me a moment.
Sorry for that. We faced technical issues. At that time, I received too many messages that include I am not able to join. We can't help for that.
Yeah. Okay,
And
I think we can. Sorry, go ahead.
and we received total 249 responses, but at that time only 68 attendees there. So that I said that we faced technical issues and I got too many messages that I am not able to join.
Yeah, I saw
Yeah,
people
yes, sir.
actually get
Continue.
exit automatically. Okay, so it's okay. We have a recorded session, so anyone can see later. Not a problem. Okay, so it's Deepak saying the difference between cloud and serverless. Now, think about the cloud. Cloud is ultimately cloud service provider giving you the they are actually sharing their resources, their machines instances. They're actually giving you the option to rent it, and you're renting it. You are utilizing it. And think about what is serverless. Serverless is also a service that is offered by this kind of service cloud service providers, where you are ultimately running your code as a function, and as soon as you are actually not maintaining any structure. You are not giving any commitment to like I'll be using this particular instance for a 3 hour, 3 day, 3 month like that. Instead, you are saying that you are thinking as like I have this code. It needs to be executed whenever there's a customer using the service, and after the usage is done, there should be nothing running, and there should be no cost at all. That kind of things you can achieve at the serverless. This is the difference. So best resources to learn the and practice DevOps. See, AWS itself giving many. If you just search about DevOps with AWS, you can see all the resources I'm sharing actually from the AWS itself. So you can get all the information there. Okay, so everything is already there. Just go ahead. I will again suggest that in Udemy there is a lot of courses also there, and in YouTube also a lot of courses. You can just got for there's free courses also available. So you can just achieve that also. Okay, it's Dia saying that does Amazon Cloud Watch can help to monitor different root user instance? Yeah, you can. It can give it. Just see, normally it's already giving you CPU. It's giving you the network bandwidth monitoring. It will. It's there is a granularity concept also there. If you free one is like for 5 minute monitoring is free, but if you want more detailed monitoring like per each minute, there is a cost involvement is there. You can check according to the cost page for the cost part, but you can do it. And if you want like more very detailed information or custom metrics, you can install the CloudWatch agent in a particular instance, and you can achieve this part. Okay. Okay, saying what companies that I already answered. That is, it's Sundar Saha coding that saying, is there any way we can get elastic GPU containers? I think there was a talk. I'm not sure. You have to check it out the AWS team. That I'm not sure yet. Could you recommend a book? If you run like AWS masterclass, something in the book is in by AWS Engine itself was there. I'll be sharing the LinkedIn for that part to Rahul. Okay. Is there a command line usage in the deployment? Deploying? Yeah. So AWS, the default AWS tool CLI, if you install, that is there. If you just configure the access key and the access key security code accordingly, you can do it. Okay. It's already there. You can just utilize the AWS tool, and there are the particular service-based commands are there. You can achieve that. Okay. Use the version 2 because version 1 is I think somehow is not that good anymore. Use the version 2. That's actually standard one. Okay. Okay, is Deepak saying that DevOps plus AWS, Google Cloud Azure? Please explain the difference. What cloud study first if I know the DevOps? So if you already know the DevOps, I think great place is the AWS, because see, every cloud provider they have their own set of tools. You can start with AWS because it's already famous. I mean, it's more market share is there. It can bring you the more opportunities. That way you can start with DevOps, and you can also explore other also, no problem. What is the now Bilal saying what is the difference between DevOps and Linux deployment engineer? Now DevOps is actually the Linux engineer, the system application development all fine. I mean ultimately if any problem in the Linux system, you just going and patching it and fine. But if you think about DevOps, it's not about the just the Linux part. You actually have to understand the application architecture. You make sure what is the application architecture. Based on that, you define what should be done, how should be the scaling mechanism, what should be the monitoring strategy. You are managing entire stack according to the application requirement, and that is the key difference. It's not just about the Linux, but entire application architecture and the monitoring. So entire stack you have to make sure you monitor. It's not about the tools. Okay. So it's only using tools, or DevOps use tools. So DevOps, see, ultimately DevOps are the practices, and you can achieve the DevOps practices are the DevOps tools which you need to be used. That's it. Will this entire recording will be uploaded to any site? Priyank, it will be uploaded where? Yeah, Priyank.
Yes, sir.
So one person was asking like, will this entire recording uploaded in any site?
No, sir. We will upload on
Okay.
YouTube channel.
Oh, okay. That is fine. That is fine. So it will be available in YouTube. Okay. Sir, what you are doing as a freelancer, can you specify a path to work as a freelancer, as a engineer or developer? So ultimately, see, freelancer, ultimately you need a good skill. Then only the people will come and give you job as a freelancer. Now, what I will personally suggest that work for a company for at least 2 or maybe 3 years, get the skill required. Make sure that you know enough, you have enough knowledge to start your own. You know how to manage the clients. You can talk well with the clients. You know how to get the requirements from the client and deal with the product. After you have the basic skills ready, then you are ready for the freelancing. And how to do the freelancing, you can go and bid in the bidding sites like freelancer.com, Odex. There's a lot of sites available. You can go bid there. Other way are like share the world what you're doing using LinkedIn, using Twitter, Facebook, whatever is there. You can make sure what you're doing. You can share it, and people will come. Whoever interested in the or any client will come and see that they think you are doing something interesting, and they will hire you. That's how it happened. Please give presenter roles. I think we tried, but it did not work. Okay. What company asked for interview for what company asked in interview for cloud architect? Now they will be asking, do you know what cloud is? Do you know how the request response architecture is? Do you know what is the response the event based architecture is? They will ask like, do you know how the auto scaling works? Do you know how to monitor the things? These are the very basic question. I think you can. There are already this kind of question. If you go to Google about the cloud architect interview question, you will find all the question there. more or less the same only. Okay. So where I can learn Jenkins and Kubernetes in Udemy, there is a lot of courses you can just learn from there. I think, yeah. Any more questions? Anyone can ask, no problem. Okay, this question that Deepak saying that uh, is Kubernetes Kubernetes admin certification will be valuable pressure to find a job. How easy to pass the CK exam for non-technical guy? Now, CK exam is not easy one. It's a very tough one, to be honest. There you will need good knowledge of the Linux systems, because ultimately as Kubernetes you are installing and maintaining application inside Linux. So if you have Linux knowledge is good. You need some shell scripting knowledge, and that's very system level, right? Ultimately, you know how the cryptographic mechanism work. You should know about the security. These are the things required. Then you know what are the basic things, like how the pod works, how the control flow works, how the deployment happen, how the deployment strategies, the service, the service like it ingress egress string. These are the thing you need to understand. Then you'll be good to go. But yeah, I mean, I have already seen the freshers guy also. Actually, it's not impossible. I mean, it's not like it's not possible. It's there are freshers guy who already pass the CK, so it's you can achieve also it, but you need to train very hard for that. Then you can achieve it. If you already have some experience using Docker and this, maintaining the Docker, giving some Docker solution to people, then it will be very easy for you. Okay. Now, is okay. Any specific Udemy course that you would like to recommend for? Uh, uh, okay. Is any specific Udemy course that you would like to recommend to learn AWS DevOps with AWS? Please give us the name or the link. Okay, let me actually quickly check for it. Okay, actually I know about that one. Let me see. It's from the A Cloud group. Their course is good for the AWS. So you can what you can do, you can just go for the certification path, because ultimately they're covering the entire the course there. So you can just give you the link also. Their course is a very good one. I started with that one, which is good. Additionally, you can get another course from the Stephen Mihawk. Let me see. Yeah. So this is very actually a good starting point. And that's the you are not just not studying it, you are actually preparing yourself for the certification also, which is also good. Now learn, just theory part is not enough. You actually have to make sure that you are practicing well, because if you learn theoretically and when you go to job and you can't do the work, then there is no point, right? So make sure that you have the all practical skills that are required. Okay. Okay, it's Deepak saying I'm placed in IBM as AC. I want to work as a DevOps engineer. What you can do the side as well. So yeah, just know about some how the CI/CD flow works, how according to the application architecture, you can define the entire deployment from the beginning to end. Make sure your these skills are there. Additionally, like additional to like Terraform, CloudFormation from AWS. These are the skills actually get in the Ansible. These are the skills required for the DevOps. If you have this skill kind of skill, you will get you're good to go. No problem with that. You can start the side hustle, the side project. Now I actually started DevOps as a side hustle, then it become my mainstream project stream. Okay. Okay, I think it's all there. So Priyank, it's all done, I think.
Okay, sir. Uh, then
Hello.
I think
Hello.
yes, yes.
Uh, Priyanka Puar here.
Okay, ma'am.
If everything is finished, then let me deliver the thanks speech too.
Sure, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. So, Mr. Sandeep, this is Priyanka Puar, professor at AD Patel Institute of Technology, Computer Engineering Department. And hello.
Yeah, hello. Wait, yes.
Uh, Thank you so much for giving an overview about DevOps and thoroughly answering the questions being asked by the participants and making this event graceful, because by your name only so many participants shown the interest, and I hope they have got what they were expecting. And I think you are getting connected to the LinkedIn, and you have your own YouTube channel also. So would
Right.
like to tell to the participants that you can also try to get connected to the Sandeep through that also. And thank you so much, Sandeep. We are expecting again to be in touch again in future with ADIT. So thank you very much for giving your special time and providing the quality information about DevOps.
No
And
problem.
my sincere thanks to all participants who have sincerely attended, and whichever event we have organized through ADIT with the name of ADIT, they have attended and shown their interest, and have had interaction with you through the question and answering. So thank you all participants for making our event successful. Then after, I would like to thank sincerely to our principal sir, Dr. Vishal Singh sir, and our HOD, Dr. Bhagirath Prajapati sir, who is all the time encouraging us to get the knowledge throughout the world and getting connected to such technical people and organizing such events. And finally, our student AWS ambassador, who has been selected amongst all 320 ambassadors across the world, Mr. Priyank. So thank you so much for organizing and making us being connected to the Sandeep Das. So thank you so much, all of you. It was a wonderful time to have with you people. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. And thank you, sir, Sandeep sir.
No problem. No problem. It was a very pleasure for me to host this and share the information as much as possible to the people, because the information is the key right now. If you think about it, that these days people don't know that things are there but don't know how to use it, or they don't know what
Yes.
are the tool exactly required for what to do. So these are the
Hmm.
information, because see, just knowing the name or actual services, they can later explore and understand, okay, these services they may use in the application and do this kind of stuff. And these are particular with just the deployment or maybe the cloud formation, there are engineers requirements there. So these are the opportunities lying there. That is it.
Exactly. Exactly.
Thank you, sir. At last, I would like to say, Sandeep sir lines that there is no DevOps without cloud, and there is no cloud without DevOps. Sandeep sir recently talked on his webinar, and that Artage and LinkedIn. Thank you, sir.
That's why I see ultimately why DevOps is AWS, because ultimately you can't do DevOps in a local computer, right? There is no point doing DevOps, because it's just you testing with yourself. DevOps is a requirement. You are ultimately deploying your application in cloud, and that's why it is. That's why there could be no DevOps without, there will be no cloud with DevOps. It's all. So you are supposed to ask any questions, Priyank? I think you told me some question you're going to ask. There's already many participants there still.
No, sir.
Okay, okay. That's right.
Okay, we will end the meeting.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
very
sir.
much, Sandeep. Once again, thank you so much. Thank you.
No problem.